There are several different stages in the process of conducting a systematic review. As you can see displayed on this diagram, this begins with the review protocol and concludes with the write-up and dissemination. Once it has been established that a systematic review is required, the first step is getting together the protocol, which will set out the methods to be used in the review. Planning the literature searches is part of writing your review protocol. It's at this point that you'll want to develop an idea of the criteria for the search strategy, details of the specific study types you're interested in, which databases you're intending to search, and whether there are any limits that are appropriate for your search, such as restricting results to a certain date range. This is an iterative process which requires communication within and sometimes beyond the review team. It is worth discussing the plans for the project with an information specialist or somebody with expertise in literature searching as early as possible, as they can help to inform your protocol and ensure you are following best practices for a high-quality systematic review. Thinking about what a systematic review is trying to achieve can help us to understand what we're expecting from a search strategy. A systematic review aims to answer a research question and guide clinical practice using all available evidence. The key word here is systematic. If something is done systematically, it is done methodically or according to a fixed plan or system. There are a lot of poor quality search strategies reported in the abstracts of journal articles, which might list just a very small range of terms, but there's nothing systematic about searching for a few key terms. A search strategy for a systematic review aims to bring back as many relevant papers as possible without excluding anything relevant. And in order to retrieve high-quality evidence, the searching needs to be sensitive and exhaustive. So it should use a range of search terms rather than just a few key terms in Google or Medline. And it should use a range of relevant databases, sources, and supplementary search techniques. To use a metaphor to help you to remember these points, if we think of the police investigating a crime that has occurred at a mansion, then searching a couple of databases, Medline and Google Scholar, is comparable to the police only searching 2 rooms and then stopping there because they found a bit of evidence in both rooms. Then, if we think of the building as being published literature and the garden as being unpublished literature, the investigation would obviously be much better if the police search as many places as possible, both in the mansion as well as its gardens. This brings me on to 6 key points about searching. A literature search isn't designed to bring back only relevant studies. What we would call a sensitive search strategy would aim to bring back as many relevant studies as possible without excluding anything relevant. Due to the way database searching works, irrelevant papers will always get picked up. This is referred to as noise and doesn't mean that the strategy is bad. The role of the searcher, in combination with the research team, is to find the right balance of sensitivity and specificity, both for the topic and for the project. By this I mean good coverage of the topic, so picking up key papers, minimising noise where possible, and a manageable number of references for the review team and the project. For this reason, the strategies themselves and the databases being used may need to be re-evaluated multiple times before searches are run. It is important to design your searches carefully, because the data retrieved by the search will play a role in determining the quality of the review. If studies are missed by the search, this will affect the final results and conclusions of the review. Be aware that bias can be introduced to your systematic review in the way the searches are conducted. For instance, restricting literature searches to English language publications can lead to language bias and will mean the findings of the review will not be based on all of the evidence. Any restrictions placed on the search strategy, such as limiting to English language papers, should be transparently reported so it's clear to the readers what has been done and why. It is entirely possible for a well-designed search to miss relevant material. If you're wondering how a search can be well-designed but miss relevant papers, a missed paper might not use any of the terms included in your search, so perhaps it uses an obscure or archaic medical term. It might contain spelling mistakes for terms that you've searched for, or it might not be available in a database. Finally, designing exhaustive searches for a systematic review is not an easy task. we suggest that you make contact with your local librarian who may be able to offer further advice.